Halafiani. This is the Apetabi Ilo Sha'ola Omi Akala Tunde, and this is Got to Be Oshun Television. It's been a few weeks, I guess, since the end of the Cocoa Cure fast. So I wanted to come and kind of give an update as to what was going on with me and just kind of share with everyone exactly how how my life was impacted by the fast and what changes I've made and all of that. So, first things first, all praise and honor to the forces that make it possible for us to be here, to the ancestral mothers who provide all of the power that we utilize in the universe, to the earth, the sun, the moon, the sea, the sky. We give all praise and honor to our brothers and sisters in the plant kingdom that make it possible for us to live life more abundantly by providing the fuel that we need to make this body move forward in the way that is most divine. We give all praise and honor. Praise and honor to my mother, Lalita F. Morgan, who now guides and watches me from the spiritual realm. Praise and honor to my brothers and sisters, and praise and honor to all of those who are walking this journey of life with me at this time. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Um, I wanted to start by saying that a lot of people have been asking, or people will ask every now and again, and now I have been out and about more since it's warm finally here in Georgia. And so people are asking more exactly what it is that I do. And they're asking, on all levels, but what they want to know usually is how do I maintain a youthful and a healthy appearance? I am 43 years old. I will be 44 this year in October. And I have 6 children that are mine, 6 children that I gave birth to out of this body. And I have one grandson. My oldest daughter is 23. And so I have a grandson. And let's see, I've been having children since I was 20. I started having children when I was 20 years old. Got married when I was 19. So when people see me and when I tell them how old I am, how many children I have, they're generally surprised because we have an incorrect view of what it means to mature. We have an incorrect view of what that looks like, what that feels like, and what that is going to be like for us. So, with this incorrect view, we suffer, with a fear of maturing, with a fear of evolving and of getting better and of becoming full-fledged adults, you know? In this country, you are considered a consensual adult at 18. You are considered a full adult at 21. This is the time when you can drink and do all these things that you want to do. But those of us who have lived through those ages know that those things are not what make you an adult. I did not feel completely and totally at peace in my adulthood until I turned 30. And that's when I realized that, okay, all of this is on me and I have to figure all of it out. Not only that, but I have to be completely responsible for all of it. So I'm going to share a little bit of what I do, how I live, how I'm able to maintain just, I don't even call it a youthful appearance. It's just regular. This is how people are supposed to look. This is what people look like. So before I do that, I wanted to show you guys a couple of things. So let me run and pick up a few things just so you can see some things. Okay, I'm back. Just wanted to grab some photographs. The One of the things that I want to impress upon everyone in this video is that your life and how you live it is your responsibility. It is completely and totally your responsibility. Any person, any movement, any organization that tells you that the power to create change or the power to do good or be good or the power to live a good, fulfilling, wholesome, fruitful life is outside of you is lying to you. Any organization, any person, any dogma, any religion that tells you that in order to live a powerful life, you have to reach outside of yourself for anything, that is an organization, a person, or a religion that is founded upon abuse. And what will happen when you engage in a relationship with a person or an organization or a religion or a being of that nature is you will be abused, because any organization or any religion or any person that is teaching you that your power, you have to get your power from an outside source, what they want to do is to plug into you and drain you of the power that you possess internally. The power to live your life properly rests in you. No one can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. You are completely and totally responsible for the circumstances of your life. If you are unhappy, if you are unhealthy, if you are in poverty, if you are unable to access the resources that are here in the universe for all of us to access, no one else can deny you access to those resources but you. So if you don't have access to those resources, it is something that you are doing improperly. The power is in here. There is no external power. The power comes from here outward. Understand that, know that. You are responsible. So with that being said, I'm going to take you on a little walk down my own personal memory lane. So this is me at 22. This is me 16 years ago. So however old that would make me. I'm 43 now. Oops, I meant to put this person out. I don't know if he wants to be in the video. But this is me 16 years ago. That's my daughter Fasharanti, who will be 16 in August. And that's we were doing a naming ceremony. This is me at a wedding probably about 14 years ago. So one of the things that you will see is that when you are living life improperly, that is what causes you to do what we normally consider to be aging in this society. If you look at any of these pictures, this one may be an exception. I may not look too old in this one, but I was 22. But if you look at any of these other pictures, I wasn't even 30 in this naming ceremony picture. I wasn't even 30 in that picture. You look at any of these pictures, I look older than I do today because I was living life improperly. The most important thing is I wasn't living the life that would make me happy. What you need to do for yourself speaks to you from the inside out. It speaks to you from the inside out. So, what did I do? What happened? What changed in my life? Well, the first thing that happened was when I gave birth to Fasha, so around this time that this picture was taken, I was forced to have an emergency cesarean. And I was shocked because the daughter that I had before foster, I was able to give birth to her at home. Now, my first pregnancy was very difficult. I was 20 years old. I thought that I was in good health, but I suffered from metabolic toxemia of late pregnancy. For the last 6 weeks of my first pregnancy, which was 23 years ago, I was confined to a hospital. And I had to stay there until I gave birth because my blood pressure was so high. So my first pregnancy was very difficult. And then when my daughter was born, my oldest daughter was born, she was not breathing. So we didn't know whether or not she was going to decide to remain in this physical world or not. So that pregnancy and that birth was just difficult beyond measure. There's no way to describe how hard that was on me mentally and emotionally. Because of the type of relationship that I was in at the time, which was an emotionally and physically abusive relationship. Before my oldest daughter was even 6 months old, I was pregnant again with my second child. And I was determined not to have that same experience. And so I took responsibility for what I did. With my eldest daughter, I was still eating everything. I am from Columbia, Tennessee. I'm from a small town. When I was a little girl, most of the people around me raised their own food, as far as animal food and plant food. And then in the winters, the men would hunt, and then we would eat the meat that was hunted as well. So when you talk about, they say the standard American diet, and some people call it sad. I ain't never ate the standard American diet. What I ate was so far below that. We ate whatever we could get to. My mother has 7 children. When she and my father were married, they gave birth to 7 children, and my father remarried, and so he has 9. So we have a very big family. And we're from a small rural community in the South. There was a majority white community, extremely racist. And the structure was set up such that it was very difficult for people of color to prosper. So my father worked 3 jobs. My mother worked 1 job with very long hours. And in addition to this, we had to raise and plant our own food just so that we could eat. So I grew up eating everything. People around me ate squirrel and raccoon and possum. So I'm standard American diet. I'm below that in some areas. Okay, so when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, I married and I moved to my mother-in-law's home in Birmingham, Alabama. And while we weren't, well, we did eat a little bit of wild game. We ate deer from time to time. Okay, excuse me for a minute. Nubia, when I call your name, I only want to call your name one time. Nubia. Okay, the first time I call you, I expect you to answer me. I asked you to go and play in Fasha's room and to leave your brother alone. He is studying. Please stand up and go and play in Fasharanti's room. So we ate some games sometimes, but for the most part, it was I guess Southern Black American cuisine, which is different. It's different. So there was a lot of pork and bread, a lot of meat, a lot of starch, and there were vegetables, but they would mostly be frozen or canned. So this is what I was eating for my first pregnancy. And I was in an abusive relationship. My first husband was physically abusive as well as emotionally abusive. So I was in this abusive relationship, and I was 20 years old. Um, I didn't have an understanding of self. And I don't mean to demean anyone who is that age, but you really are still a baby. You don't have a grasp of life. You don't have a grasp of yourself. You're not grounded in who it means to be you at 20. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're moving towards it, but you're not there yet. So I was 20 years old, and it was just a bad situation. So I developed this high blood pressure, as it's called, of course, because I'm under all this stress, and then I'm putting all this junk in my body. I'm pregnant. I had to take a leave of absence from college, And he had gotten put out of college because his grades were so bad. And we had to move him with his mother. There was a lot going on. And his mother was this very fundamentalist Christian woman, and I was at the time studying with the Nation of Islam, trying to change my life and change, trying to move into a more conscious way of being. So it was just always friction, always friction. So it was bad. So with my second child, I said, there's no way I can spend 6 weeks in the hospital again. I cannot have that experience again. So I left. I moved back in with my mother. In my mother's house, the diet was a little bit better. My mother didn't eat a lot of pork and stuff like that. And she was very much into making sure that you had what they considered back in those times a well balanced, plate. So everything had to be on your plate, and you had to eat something green every day. And so I stopped eating pork at that time. I stopped eating beef, so I was mostly eating chicken and fish, but no pork at all, because I, had gotten even more into the Nation of Islam. And my mother was very wise and more open-minded. So while I still had to go to church, and I was raised AME. While I still had to go to church in my mother's house, it was an AME church, so it was more geared toward the African American experience. Very proud to be Black, proud to be African American. This was the time I started my first set of locks. Stopped eating pork, and I exercised resolutely every day for that entire pregnancy. So I'm from a small town called Columbia, Tennessee. I moved back to that town for this second pregnancy, and I walked all over Columbia. Anywhere I had to go, I would put Naila, that's my oldest daughter, into her stroller, and I would push her, big pregnant with my second baby, and we would go. I had a job working at an answering service, and I worked the night shift, so I had to be there at like 10. I got off at like 6 in the morning or something like that. So I bring Naila with me, lay her to sleep in her stroller, and I would walk to work. And then in the morning, once my shift was over, I would push the stroller and we would walk back to my mother's house and walk home. If I needed something from the grocery store, I would walk to the grocery store. If I just wanted to get out and do something and take her to the park, I would walk to the park. So I really made sure with that pregnancy that I got a high amount of exercise. So I was eating improperly and still eating a great deal of starch and still eating meat, but my body was burning it off. So with that particular pregnancy, was the shortest labor that I've ever had. And I have 6 children. That was baby number two. It was only a 6-hour labor. And by the time they put the epidural in, I was ready to push the baby out. I really, didn't need to get an epidural, but I was only 21, didn't know, uninformed. But she came here so smoothly and so sweetly that I named my second daughter Camila, which means is Kiswahili. It's a mixture between an Arabic and East African languages, and it means the perfect one because that birth was so perfect. My oldest daughter is Naila. This is also Kiswahili, a mixture of Arabic and East African languages. I was studying Arabic at the time, and Naila means successful because she successfully pulled through that difficult birth and pregnancy, and she breathed for us, and she remained here on earth with us. So that was my second pregnancy. So the more I decided to take control and take responsibility for what was going on in my life, the better life I lived. So when I look at the pictures, that's what I'm seeing. It's like this is a person who is, on this journey to take control and to take responsibility. So when we look at the pictures, then what we're seeing a lot of is not, wanting to be responsible, not wanting to take control. So when you look at me and you ask me, what is your regime? What do you do? The first thing that I do is I consider myself and I hold myself completely responsible for my life. In all ways, at all times, no matter what is going on, I hold myself responsible. So that is the underlying secret. That is the underlying foundation. We come to the physical realm divine beings. If you've ever experienced the ecstasy of orgasm, which is what created us all, then you know that we are divine. That is a divine moment, and that is the beautiful moment that created you. That's what you are. That's what you're made of. How can you ever be unhappy? How can you ever be dismayed when you know that you are made of that energy of complete and total bliss? That's what made you. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, isn't the universe beautiful in how it even fashioned us and the moment that it chose to fashion us? So we come into the physical life through that portal of beauty and of orgasm and of power. And all that we are required to do is to maintain that beauty, maintain that powerful bliss, maintain that orgasmic feeling, maintain it in everything that you do. If it doesn't make you that happy, then you shouldn't be doing it. You can trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust your feelings. Trust your emotions. If it's not making you blissfully happy, then you shouldn't be doing it. And yes, I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about everything. We are connected to and tied to and slaves to a system, to a way of thinking and a way of being that is lying to us. It is built upon the deception that in order to succeed, you must be miserable at some point. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to have to work hard for what you want. But hard work is blissful too. Ask anybody who loves to work out. Ask anybody who loves to dance. Ask anyone who loves to do yoga. All of those things are hard work, but they're blissful too. Ask anyone who likes to prepare food. Ask anyone who likes to take care of children. Ask any mother who has ever pushed a baby into this world or had a baby cut out of her and brought into this world. All of those things are hard work, but they are completely and totally blissful as well. So I'm not saying you will not have to work hard. But what I'm saying is situations of misery that make you feel consistently miserable are not divine and you should not be in them. That's just the truth of the matter. That's the truth of life. You're being deceived and made to believe that you should, but you shouldn't. And they're unnecessary. And they do not have to exist. Everything that we need, the Odu, the ancient scriptures of our Anago ancestors coming out of West Africa says that Mother Earth takes care of her children and provides them with everything that they need as adequately as the sea mother takes care of her children and provides them with what they need. So we see the fishes living in the sea and we see the sea creatures living in the sea, and we don't expect that they're somewhere looking for a home or looking for food because they're living in an environment of abundance. But we, as the children of the earth, live in an environment of abundance too. It's all provided for us. Nobody has control over it. We are being made to think that someone does, but nobody has control over it. It's out there, just waiting for you to use it. So if you're choosing not to use it, then you have to admit to yourself that that's your choice. If you're choosing to see all these different middlemen that give you access to resources that already belong to you, then that's your choice. That's what you're choosing to see. But that's not actually the case. That's not what's true. Okay? That's what you're choosing to see. And you have been deceived and socialized in a way that makes you think it's true, but it's not true. So anyway, moving forward from that. So what I do is I take complete and total responsibility for my life. I take complete and total responsibility for my happiness. If I am unhappy, then I pause and I meditate and I figure out why, and I take responsibility for that as well. You're not going to live a full life. You're not going to be a full being if you're not doing that. So that's the first thing. And doing that reduces or minimizes or transforms, I guess would be a more accurate word. So let's erase all those other words. It transforms what we consider to be the aging process. Okay? This is not natural. This is not natural. I don't care what anybody tells you. At this time in my life, by the time all of these pictures were taken, all of them, I was a vegetarian. I was not vegan, but I was vegetarian. I was not eating meat products. I was still eating dairy and eggs, but I was vegetarian, lacto-ovo vegetarian. I was exercising. I was taking African dance twice a week. Married, had 4 children at the time of the last 2 pictures. The first one I was in a committed relationship and had 2 children. Not married, not remarried yet. vegetarian in all those pictures. So I had been vegetarian, and I had been an Orisha practitioner for, mm, I went to Nigeria in 2000. For about 7 or 8 years, almost 10 years by the time that I came to make a change in my life. So in the year 2000, I gave birth to my third child. Sorry it took me so long to get back around to this point. And because my body was so full of toxins, and because I had allowed my life, my emotional life, and my relationship to become so full of toxins, because I decided to remain in a toxic relationship, I found myself having to have an emergency cesarean. The child before that, as I said, I had at home. No anesthesia, nothing. I had a wonderful midwife, Heather Wilson. Please look her up if you are in Nashville. Country Life Birth. Wonderful midwife. And she was my midwife with the second one too, but we weren't able to do it. My blood pressure went up again. I began to swell, my body began to swell, and I was put in the hospital, and I was in the process of having a vaginal birth, and the placenta abrupted, which means the placenta started coming apart from the from my uterus, from my womb. So the placenta began to disengage itself from my womb. It was tearing, and so blood just began to run out. And if they had not given me that emergency cesarean, my daughter, Fasharanti, may have drowned just in the blood, just coming out like that. And so they rushed me into surgery. And before the anesthesia could even take effect, they had to begin cutting me. And so I actually felt them begin to cut through the layers of my skin, and then through the fat tissue, and then through the layers of my womb. I felt that. And so that was what happened with my third, no, my fourth birth. This was my fourth daughter, Fasharanti. And Fasharanti means Ifa does not fail to solve a problem. Ifa does not forget. That's what her name means, because we're both alive. We're both here. So, um, with that fourth one, hold on one second. With that fourth one, I said, okay. I thought I had it. I thought I got it. I divorced the abusive husband. I remarried somebody else. He was a Babalawo. I was a Petabi Elosha. We were doing works in the community, spiritual works and cultural works, community works, all those types of things. I thought I had it. I thought I was on the right path. And I had noticed that I was gaining weight. And all of my life, since I was about 13, I've had very severe acne of any kind you can think of. The acne with the craters, the acne with the big pustules, the acne that makes your whole face red. I've had them all. I know they all got different names. But from the time I was 13, I've had very severe acne. So, the acne never went away. And I was gaining a whole lot of weight. And I'm 5'2". So I can't really carry a lot of weight. If I gain weight, you can automatically see it. But the entirety of my life, I had always had a very distended abdomen from the time I was 3 or 4, you know? And so, I'm gonna turn this off because people just keep on these things sometimes. Whoo, they worse. But anyway, I'd always had a distended abdomen. I just didn't ever think that I could have a flat stomach. I thought some people were just blessed with it and some wouldn't. So anyway, bring it all back. Fourth pregnancy, emergency cesarean. Scary, 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 scary experience. Fasharanti, when she was born, was so tiny that I could hold her in one hand. She was that small. When the doctor cut me open, and when they give you cesarean, they take your womb out of your body and then they cut it open. So she cut me open, and she said, "Where's the baby? I can't find the baby." My baby was so tiny that she couldn't even find her in my womb. So not only did that placenta pull away from the womb, but it had not been nourishing her properly. So where was all of this weight going that I was gaining? The baby was tiny. I was huge. I was eating all through the pregnancy. Where was the weight going? So after that, I decided that I had to do something drastic. what would be considered drastic, but I wanted to make a complete and total change that would heal me. I wanted to be healed. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be a good mother. At that time I wanted to be a good wife. I wanted to be the best that I could be, and I was ready after that experience to do whatever it took. Now, as Eshu would have it, as life would have it, as fate, which is, Eshu would have it, I was blessed at this time to be able to travel home to Nigeria. And I say home to Nigeria because this is where my ancestors are from. Please, nasty Nigerians who are trolling YouTube, don't get all up in arms. But I decided to go home to Nigeria. I was blessed to go home to Nigeria. And I went home to Abeokuta, and I lived in Olokomeji village in Nigeria with my beautiful, wonderful family there that I actually reconnected with over the weekend. I'm about to cry. But anyway, I went home to Nigeria and found while I was there that that was actually one of the places that my ancestors were from, which is beautiful because I had been practicing the Orisha spiritual tradition for 10 years by the time I went. So I went home to Nigeria, was blessed to be able to visit Oshogbo, which is the hometown, the place of the origin of my mother Orisha, my guiding force, my light, my mother, my mentor, my guide, Oshun, the munificent mother Oshun. Was blessed to be able to go to Oshogbo, was blessed to be able to go to the Oshun shrine and go into the shrine and commune with Mama in her purest form and to get into the Oshun River. And so I got into the Oshun River. I tasted the water. I washed myself. And I said, yeah, yeah, I'm here. And I only have one request from you, and that is to make me whole and complete, to help me to change my life, to become the person that I know I'm supposed to be. That's why I'm here, Mama. So whatever it is that you want me to do, once you lay it before me, I assure you that I will do it. There is not any path that will be too difficult for me to take to being and becoming whole and healthy and complete. I know I want to have more children, but I never want to have a child like that again. I never want to go through that experience again. I love myself. I love my body, but I want my body to feel good while I'm inside it. I love my face. I love that, but can I please not have this horrible acne on my face all the time? This is what I asked for. And I knew enough to know that all those things were somehow connected, but I wasn't completely clear on how. So I was in Nigeria, had some rituals done, renewed my marriage vows with the Babalawo that I was married to at the time. Did a bunch of things, visited Oshogbo, visited Ile-Ife, visited the shrine of Oramiyan, climbed Olumo Rock. I was just blessed. It was a blessed journey. And, reconnected with family. And so then, stayed for about a month and then came back to the States. Maybe a week after I got back to the States, a dear sister friend and godchild of mine, Novichi Oshundeji Ade, who I had initiated into Oshun, gifted me with this book that I had actually seen in a natural hair care magazine, but hadn't been able to get it in Nashville. And the book was Sacred Woman. And it was on. It was on from there. When I opened the book, I knew that this was Oshun's answer to my prayer. And I went hard. I went completely and totally hardcore. I went into Gateway Zero by myself because I didn't know anybody else around me who would want to do something this serious and this intense. Went into Gateway Zero by myself, stayed in Gateway Zero for 3 months by myself, and was determined to get my body clean and was determined to get my mind clean and my spirit clean, and I succeeded in cleansing myself and in healing myself. And I felt from the inside so magnificently beautiful. And I felt love just radiating out of me. There were very few things that could, get me in an agitated state. This state of mellowness came over me that I didn't even know that I possessed. I mean, I've always been cool. I'm cool. I'm Black American. I'm super cool. But a mellowness from the inside, just chilled. Yeah, I had never experienced that. So this mellowness just came out of me, and I was able to view everything in life from a perspective of love. And what this came from eating actual food, avoiding stuff that's not really food, drinking the proper amounts of water, and prayer and meditation. That's what this came from. And suddenly I felt like what a human being is supposed to feel like. That's what it feels like to be human, y'all. It's a mellow, peaceful, beautiful place. That's what it is. That's what life is, y'all. Does that mean there aren't obstacles and hardships? No, that's not what it means, because those things are part of life too. But it's still mellow, peaceful, and beautiful. The obstacles and the hardships are mellow, peaceful, and beautiful. But anyway, moving on. So from Sacred Woman, I um I changed my lifestyle drastically. Also, somewhere around that time, I was diagnosed with gluten allergies. Since I was 7, I've had very severe problems with my ears. And my ears would go into excruciating pain twice a year. And I would have to go to the emergency room just to get something to make them stop hurting. And then they would be stopped up for months on end. And sometimes flakes would come out of my ears. It looked kind of like eczema. It looked like the skin was flaking off. So I always had all this trouble with my ears. And as I said, I'd always had this distended abdomen my entire life. I mean, I don't know if y'all go to my Facebook page, I like to dress, freely. I'm free in my dress. I don't mind showing my body because I'm not from a Middle Eastern culture. Middle Eastern culture prescribes that women should not show their bodies because Middle Eastern culture is a desert culture, and it's dangerous to have your skin out in the desert. It will burn you, and there may be a sandstorm which will then cut you. But I'm not Middle Eastern. I'm from the tropics. I'm African. I'm from the tropical rainforest of Africa, and I'm from the rainforest of the native United States. And we didn't wear all that stuff. So I like for my body to be out, for my tummy to be out, like for my arms to be out, my shoulders. All of that makes me feel happy. But I was never able to wear that kind of stuff. For my entire teenage life, I never wore anything like that. I started wearing that stuff in my 30s because that's when I got a flat tummy. I didn't have a flat, I had a round stomach. I can remember in college, people thinking that I was pregnant. That's how round my stomach was. So in college, I wore these big, bulky clothes. I was still flat, but I had big, bulky clothes on all the time. But anyway, so I discovered, because I woke up one night and I couldn't hear anything. Both of my ears were stopped up. I couldn't even hear my Ede at all. And so I was terrified. I said, this ear thing has gone so far because I've been going to doctor after doctor after doctor. They said there's nothing we can do about it. No, you will never lose your hearing, but this is just a problem that you'll have. And so I woke up that night and I couldn't hear. And I said, they've lied to me. I cannot hear and I cannot live. And I have 4 little bitty children that I homeschooled. There's no way in the world that I can live the life that I live and not be able to hear. So I woke up terrified. I woke my husband up. I told him. And he went back to sleep or whatever. He hugged me while I cried and he went on back to sleep. So I sat up in the bed and I prayed. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the phone book to the ear, nose, and throat specialist. And I'm gonna put my finger down. And whoever the universe tells me to go to, I'm gonna go to. So I did. I opened it, I prayed, I put my finger down, and it was a guy from India. The next day I went to see him. And what he did was he completely irrigated both of my ears and the amount of stuff that came out of my ears. And it was all white. And he said, you a woman. So I know you once he cleared my ears out and I could hear. He said, I know you know what this is. He said, what does it look like? I said, well, it looks like yeast. He said, that's what it is. It's yeast in your ears. And he said, you cannot eat bread. He gave me the 2-page long printed list of stuff that I couldn't eat. And so this was he explained to me that that's why my abdomen was distended. He said that's part of the issue with your skin. All of these things came from the fact that I could not digest this grain, gluten, because I'm not a cow. I don't have all those stomachs. But anyway, I'm digressing again. I'm gonna go on it. And I'm not a bird, because birds can digest grains, but it's because they also eat stones that help to break down the grains inside their body. So anyway, I'm moving on. So I discovered during this time also that I could not digest wheat, and so I was yes, babe. No, not right now. So I had become complete and total very strict vegan. I had started a regime, and this is from Sacred Woman, of having tea in the morning, having a tea and my tonics in the morning before eating solids. So I had liquids before eating solids. At least one of my meals a day was raw, was a salad, and then I had a cooked meal when the sun was the highest in the sky. Around noon, I could have a big cooked meal. And this is what I was doing when I was on Sacred Woman. And so, in addition to that, I removed all wheat products from my from consumption. Nothing wheat at all. Nothing that had a wheat base would I eat. If it says enriched flour, I didn't eat it at all. So I did that, and I, was getting happier and more ecstatic and more blissful. Nubia, shh. Throughout the process. Just happy, 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 joy, joy, joy. And realized also that the relationship that I was in at this time, which was my second marriage, was emotionally abusive and was a blockage to me fulfilling my destiny. So it brought that relationship to an end. So that is the beginning. No, no, no. Okay. Come here, both of you. Nubia, bring me the book. Nubia Lalita. Why did you do this?
No, when you were up, I didn't turn up when Kamara was doing my hair because my hair is puffy.
Why did you do this?
Because
Because what?
I was pretending that was me with some birdies on my shoulder.
Okay. Go and lay down in Pasha's bed until I ask you to get up. You can go and finish studying. Go do what I asked you to do. Please and thank you. So, from there, that was still the beginning of a journey to, complete and total wellness. So, where am I now? Well, after the fast, I think since the fast, I've had 3 or 4 cooked meals. But where I've gone with it is to be very mindful of what my body temple is saying to me. Because the truth of life is that from that ecstatic and orgasmic. Okay, come here. From that ecstatic, blissful union of your mother and your father. Bring me a pillow. Bring me a pillow. You were created, and come here and lay right here. And you were born. And this physical body is a manifestation of that same ecstatic embrace. So some would say it's a manifestation of your spirit. I would say it's all spirit as well. It's the parts of spirit that we can see. So life is the opportunity to experience the same divinity that you have physically. You're experiencing that divinity physically. And so one of my sister friends is very fond of saying that your body temple is your biofeedback suit. It tells that spirit, what's good, what's not good, right? For example, you put this hand in some fire, it's going to cause a sensation that we know is pain, which will cause you to automatically draw back. And so well, that's not safe or good for this entity, for this being living in this kind of way. So by the same token, when you are eating, first of all, it should be a divine exchange. It should be a complete and total union of divine beings. and it should be consensual. It's a consensual union of divine beings. With that in mind, there's one group of divine beings that human beings interact with like that, and those would be plants. So, first of all, well, I haven't had animal products for years, obviously, as I just told you in the beginning of my story. But second of all, you can feel that divine union when what you are consuming is live plants, live plant matter. And that's where I have been. Lay down, please. Because you need some rest. Put your head on the pillow and get some rest. Right here. Thank you. No, there's no but. Lay down. And so that's where I've been. Every time I've tried to consume something that is not alive, then I can feel a discomfort, you know, and that's not what it's supposed to feel like. It's just not what it's supposed to feel like. Bloating and pain and difficulty eliminating is not what eating or consuming is about. That's not what it's about, you guys. It really should feel divine. It really should feel blessed. You really should reach a certain kind of high. It should send you into the higher realms. It should send you. Scoop back. I don't want you to unplug the computer. It should send you into the higher heights. That's what your consumption should do. Now, I think that you want to stay upstairs, don't you? Do you want to stay upstairs? You want to go lay in your room downstairs? Okay, so do you want to stay upstairs? Okay, so then would have to be quiet because that noise is not acceptable right now. So you're going to have to lay down and be quiet, or you will have to go downstairs if you want to make that sound. You understand? Okay. So consumption should feel divine and ecstatic and blissful. That's where that's why it is true that it has to taste good. Eating is a complete and total sensual experience. It has to be beautiful, has to look beautiful, has to smell inviting, and has to taste good. It's a sensual exchange. So that's where I have been with it since the end of Coco Cure, is making every bite that I take a sensual exchange. Now, since 2000, the time of doing Sacred Woman, I've been on the journey of making my entire life a sacred sensual exchange. And so that is how I live. It's how I live. It's how I choose what clothing to wear. It's how I choose what I'm going to do to my hair. It's how I interact with my children. It's how I decorate my home. It is a sensual exchange. It should be beautiful. It should smell good. It should draw me in. It should make me feel orgasmic. It should make me feel really, really good. And that's how I see my food too. If my stomach is hurting, if I'm bloating, if I can't have a bowel movement, which is painful, that's not orgasmic. So if it's not leading me to that orgasmic experience, then I know I shouldn't be doing it. So that's where I've been since Coco Cure 2013. And I'm excited about it because I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. I don't weigh myself because it's just not wise. I don't think it's wise. And what does that mean? Like, who or what are those numbers based on? I don't know. So I don't participate in that. But when I look in the mirror, I know how I like to look. And when I see myself looking closer to how I like to look, that makes me happy. So as I said, I'm 5'2". I'm not very tall, so I can't really carry large amounts of weight on this frame. And that's fine, because when I try to carry large amounts of weight on this frame, that hurts. It makes my knees hurt and I get tired quickly. So that's the journey I've been on. And I have so much energy, so much creativity, feeling so positive and so happy, just blissful. This is what life is supposed to feel like. So, on that note, I wanted to share the rest of my regime. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm eating. And, that is how I have been eating, the part that I shared earlier for the past 10 years. Also, as often as I'm able, I take African dance. Since I've been here in Atlanta, I had started initially doing some chakra yoga and some kundalini yoga at Tassili's Raw Reality in the West End. Haven't been consistent with that, but I do the Surya Namaskar every morning, which is the salutation to the sun. I do that every morning, and I try to, tighten my muscles and do that well. So I'm not as toned as I would like to be because I haven't been able to take my African dance regularly. So for the summer, I'm really working towards seeing how I can make that a reality here in Atlanta. Some of it is a little expensive, and then for some classes, the distance is an issue. So I'm still working on that, but making sure that I get some sort of physical movement in every day because that too is another thing that makes me feel blissful and ecstatic. My car went down, I think it was the end of April. And so, no, it was like the middle of April. And so I haven't had a car since then. So what has been helpful has been, both of you can go out and check it together. What has been helpful too, as far as exercise is concerned, has been walking. The walking that I've had to do to get to the bus and to the train. And in Atlanta, it's not very far because the public transit. I'm doing a video. I'm making a video. Public transit is pretty good, but that walking also has been helpful, you know. And exercise, especially walking, if you're having trouble with elimination, and when I say elimination, what I mean is having bowel movements, regular bowel movements. You should have several bowel movements throughout the day. If you're eating heavily, then you should be eliminating heavily. Okay. Um, but when you wake up in the morning, you shouldn't eat anything solid until after you've had a big bowel movement to release all of the food that you had from the day before. But you should be having several bowel movements. Okay, he's gonna wait. And Nubia, please stop whining. Shh. So, no, not those. Not those. Where's some of those that are over there? So that's what all that I've been doing as far as exercise. I haven't been getting in as much as I would like, but I guess more than zero, more than none. So no, no, Nubia, no. Put on some of the ones that I usually wear outside. Don't put on any of my good shoes. So then, as far as skincare and things of that nature, my skin is looking well. I know some of you guys are born with that gorgeous peaches and cream, never have a blemish. But as I said, that's not me. So this to me is top notch. This to me is like completely and totally over the top exciting. It's like beautiful. I love it when it looks like this. And another thing, if you are of color, you have to get sun. You have to get out there and let that sun get in your skin. That gives you that glow. That's what makes you glow from the inside out. Once you get those rays in there, you activate those melanocytes. Oh my goodness. It really just, it takes it to the next level. So anyway, this is all that I use. Oops, I didn't bring it out here. Hold on. Back. This is the only thing I use on my face. The only thing. It is 100% pure shea butter, and I like the mango scent. It's made by a local company here in Atlanta, Raw Cosmetics, and it's only shea butter and mango scent. This is all I use on my face. I wash it with the almond oil Castile soap, and then once I dry it, once I get out of the shower, I put a layer of this on it, and that's it. On my eyes, I use the Kajal from India. We called it cold. Okay, thank you. We called it cold in ancient Kemet. That's all. I use that, and then I use a little bit of lip gloss. That's it. That's all that I do on this face. If I do anything other than that, it may cause a problem. So I found that regime that works for me, and I don't veer from that. And you have to make sure that I'm eliminating properly acne or any other skin condition. Okay. What? Okay, please excuse me. I'm making a video. So if you're going to wait, you have to wait over there. And you have to wait without talking. I'm making a video. Acne or any other skin condition, you have to wait without talking. is caused by blockage in your colon. Okay, get up and go to Shabby and Fasha's room. Go on, because I can't continue to ask you not to talk. Leave that where it was. And one of you go in Shabby's room, one of you go in Fasha's room. Okay. Kamari, go to Fasha's and let Nubia go to Shabby's. Nubia, don't mess with any of the Shabby's thing. Okay, go downstairs then to your room. Go ahead. Come on, let's go. Let me see you going. Turn off the light in the Shabby's room and let's go to your room. I don't see anyone coming out. Okay, go into your own room. Nubia, I don't see you coming out. Nubia? I'm not asking you anything, brother. I'm talking to her. She can speak for herself. And no, because you just throw one of these up. So we'll have to talk before I'll see if you're allowed with those again. So go on to your room. So any skin condition is colonic blockage. So if you suffer from any problems with your skin, remember that your skin is the body's largest organ. Go on down. Of elimination. So if your body is throwing out blemishes and bumps and scaly patches and things like that, then there's something in there that is trying to get out. And it can't get it out through your colon. So it's pushing it out through your skin. Any kind of rash, any type of whatever, you have to detox you have to detoxify your body. You have to clean your colon to heal those ailments and to, release yourself from the grip of those ailments. So that's all that I use on my face. For my feet, I use Essence Tree, and I apologize, this does not have a label on it. Sandalwood shea butter, sandalwood butter. And I use sandalwood because I am a child of Oshun. If you know the forces of nature that are walking with you closely in this lifetime, then you'll know the sense that will uplift you. You'll know the sense that will take you to those higher levels and keep you in that ecstatic, blissful state, because that's how life is supposed to feel. So sandalwood moves me like that. Now, all of the scents of Oshun I don't like because I don't like the smell of rose at all. But find out who your Orisha is, and yes, I can do that for you in a reading. Find out who your Orisha is and then use the sense of that Orisha. That connects with your spirit, with your inner self. It takes you to those higher heights. So that's what I use on my feet because you have to have a heavier something on your feet because that skin is heavier and thicker. And I don't ever want to see any sort of, crust or whiteness on my feet. So I use that heavy shea butter. Now for the rest of my body, all that I use is the extra virgin coconut oil. This one is made in the Philippines. It's what we can get here in Atlanta at the DeKalb County Farmers Market. And I use an Arabian sandalwood for scent. That's it. That's all that I put on the rest of my body. So this sheen that you see, that is eating properly, getting proper rest, getting as much sun as I possibly can whenever I can, drinking enough to make sure that I eliminate properly, and staying as happy and fulfilled as I possibly can and being nice, treating people with love. That's the glow that's the where the glow comes from. Cause I can't put shea butter on the rest of my body. It's too heavy. So that's just coconut oil, which is thin. Also, I have that nickel allergy. And so I used to have really dark earlobes. And all that I did on my earlobes was coconut oil. And, even if I have an earring now that has nickel in it, it may cause a little itchiness, which of course means I shouldn't wear it. But once I take it out, there's no darkness, there's no scaliness, there's no patching. Because I try to keep my insides clean. Okay, hair regime. I have stopped twisting my locks. Some of them are coming together in threes, some of them are coming together in fours. I'm just letting them do what they want to do, but I'm not twisting them anymore. So if you look, you can see all my little puffiness and everything. You may see the gray, and that's it. That's what's going on with the locks. I'm just letting them do what they do. I'm letting the bangs grow out, and I got them plaited, and I plaited them as they were growing. If three of them are growing together, then I let that be one piece. I haven't separated anything. I'm not separating anything. I'm letting them do what they do. And I'm very excited about that. But for my hair, this is all that I use in my hair. Is almond oil. Doesn't look like you can see it. Yes, just Spectrum almond oil. And I mixed that with some essential oils from the Now company. And I love Now because they are from the hippie days of the 70s, and so they make everything affordable. Because now, I mean, in this day and time, things have ceased to be affordable because they think that to be healthy, you have to be rich. And so everything is these astronomical prices. But you got to get on back to the old hippie brands when they knew that wasn't the case. So now we'll provide you with essential oils at a price that you can afford. Anybody can afford it. So I use the essential oils for scent. And again, as I said, being a child of Oshun, I use a lot of the orange, the tangerine, the jasmine. I like those. Those are the scents that uplift me. But you have to know what scents you like, and whatever scents that those are, put those in your oil. Put those on your body so that anytime I move my arm by, I smell that delicious sandalwood, and it just makes me feel beautiful. You know? And I'm happier about whatever the situation is because I'm smelling like sandalwood. How can I not be happy? So that's how you should feel about the things that you put on your body and about the things that you put in your body. Food and people, ladies. You should feel that ecstatic about the man that you putting in your body too. Anyway, it's a different video. Also, I do not use deodorant. My mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's when she was 55, and she died of that illness in 2009. And so, since that time, I've been very vigilant about avoiding things that are known causes of that. So, I don't use deodorant, conventional deodorants. So, all that I put under my arms is black coconut oil. That's what I use as my deodorant. And I use black coconut because I'm also a child of Obatala, and coconut is one of his scents. And the black coconut is the strongest coconut that you can find. It's got a powerful coconut scent. And I'm almost out. I actually need to go get some more. And any of your oil sellers will have that. Anybody that sells that scented oil. So that's what I use under my arms. In my hair, because I'm always thin around the edges. I just think it's my texture that causes that to be the case. But they're getting thin in a way that lets me know that I'm stressing them. I'm stressing them some kind of way, probably from pulling it up too much. Or usually, what causes my the most amount of stress is from wrapping it up too much, having too many cotton wraps on my head, and that will pull it out. That will pull my hair out. So what I'm doing right now for my edges is using the Tropic Jamaican Black Castor Oil, and that's only on my edges. And I put it in there and I massage it in, and I say sweet things to my edges, and I apologize to them for having caused them trauma. Everything is alive, y'all. Everything has a vibration, and everything wants to be recognized and loved. Everything. Okay, 1 second. There's one more thing that I forgot to get, so I'm gonna go grab that. And this is coconut hemp scalp care made by Herbalife. So I do not, like I said, I haven't been twisting my locks, and I don't put this on my scalp, but I do put it around these edges. Coconut hemp. And it smells like chocolate and mint. Yeah, that's too sexy to not use, you know. Who don't want to smell like a peppermint patty? I mean, and we know peppermint patty is a completely toxic thing to put in your mouth and to consume, but it's fly to smell like one. Who don't want to smell like that? But anyway, that is my beauty care, health care, self care regime. Love yourself harder, more fiercely, and better and more frequently than you love anybody else. Don't love anybody or anything more than you love yourself. That's where your beauty comes from. That's the foundation of your beauty. That's the foundation of looking quote unquote youthful. Love yourself first, foremost, and most importantly. And then everything else will issue forth from that, and it'll come forth in the way that it's supposed to. So I know that this is long and in depth, but I felt like to do it any other way wouldn't really do it justice. It wouldn't really give you the full story. So I pray that it's helpful. I pray that no sort of glitch has occurred so that I don't have to redo it. And I just wish, as always, ecstasy, abundance, and bliss upon everyone who is wishing the same for me. And I wish the lessons of life upon those who are not. And the lessons of life comes from my grandmothers in Columbia, Tennessee. And whenever they would be trying to tell you something and you would be trying to explain why you disagreed with it, their answer was always just keep on living. Just keep on living. So that's why I always wish the lessons of life upon the people who are wishing negativity upon me, because I know that once they keep on living, they'll see that that's foolish and unnecessary. So I'll be talking to you guys soon. I'm about to try to upload this. Pray that all goes well with it. All right. Peace and love and harmony.